I think Anya's more evil because she's also Russian. Kislevite.
That is absolutely being cut.
Hello and welcome to the second video in a series I'm doing of D&D related characters, which just kind of generally includes, general fantasy archetypes, everything from rangers to warlocks, rogues, paladins, etc., as well as, putting these classes onto interesting species. In this video I am doing Anya the Ice Witch. This is a character who's played in a Warhammer D&D campaign, and she is from Kislev, which is basically Russia in Warhammer. Yeah, it's maybe a little bad timing on that one. Anyway, you should imagine this character as somewhat of a crossover between your typical strong woman Viking barbarian and an evil Disney Ice Witch. Anyway, at the end, after the model is finished, I will also be doing another brief dissection to explain the technical side of the model. But yes, with all of that in mind, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, second, yeah.
Again, now we've got even more members of the party in the call, including Saral this time, the main character. But also the important ones are Harry, the dungeon master, and the party's human ice sorcerer. I have no idea what subclass you are, but Anya Dmitriev from Motherland Kislev. Can you please introduce yourselves, both of you?
I am Jazz, and I play our party sorcerer, an ice witch called Anya.
And I'm Harry, and I'm God.
Typical DM complex right there.
I want to win.
Can we have a little bite-sized sample of your very authentic Russian accent, Jess?
No pressure.
No pressure.
It's the absolute worst way you could have asked for that.
No pressure.
What would she order from a shop?
Ice cream.
Yeah,
In-
dude, like Anya.
Yeah, in the Kislev dialect. Come on.
Zor me your biggest ice cream.
Okay.
There we go.
Thank you. There we go. All right. Now, as is tradition in D&D, everybody has a terrible, tragic backstory full of dead parents, etc. So, can you please give us a summary of your backstory?
Well, when Harry and I were rolling the story for this particular character, my rolls were absolute garbage. So poor Anya here has not had a great time. She was once a prestigious spellcaster sent off to go learn in a college to become an ice witch, and by the time she returned, her village was being attacked, and she was almost immediately hit by a feeble mind spell. So her genius status was immediately reduced to dribbler.
And from there, I believe, I don't know specifically that she went off to find her brother immediately, but she did eventually end up in the city of Carlsberg, which is going to be a recurring theme for a lot of characters, and found Casimir on the eve of a grand soiree that didn't go to plan.
Yep. That's a bit of an understatement, maybe.
And that's how Anya came to join the party, by trying to, showing up the main character in a fashion sense.
Oh yeah. Didn't Saral spend like 600 gold on an outfit, and then Anya comes and spends 700 gold on an outfit?
No,
too?
Anya already had a outfit that was worth around 500 gold, I think. And then Saral saw her before he had anything. And he just had an internal nervous breakdown, like, what the hell? There's someone here looking better than me. Gotta go buy clothes.
I mean, he is the main
yeah.
character. He needs to be the center of attention.
Then I believe he spent 700 gold to outdo her.
And they had that moment of just looking at each other.
Money well spent.
Money well spent.
I'm so sorry, my phone's ringing.
That's fine. I'm gonna leave that in. So, since Anya is BRB, it's a good time to bring back the main character. Saral, how are you doing?
I was sick.
Yeah, you're okay. No other comment on that?
No.
Do you not want to hijack Anya's podcast?
No.
No? Okay.
I'm the main character. So, Ralford, what do you think of torture and mercy killing? And why is it unspeakable evil? How dare you?
It's my favorite thing.
Which
Our
part?
party is such a
Torture?
good. Yeah. Our party is such good people.
High
You're the one that named us the righteous few.
I know.
A name we have not
I am
lived
back.
up to.
I'm sorry.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Don't worry, in your absence, we got a few words from the main characters, bro. Okay. Anyway, next question. how would you say Anya's dynamic is with the rest of the party?
Confusion, primarily. She does not know very much about these people and their conflicting views and takes on things. She tries her best to understand people like Tetri and Sir Rahl, but their views of what is upstanding and moral conflicts a little bit with what she considers to be upstanding and moral. Her views, although she is not nearly as evil, let's say, as Varen, probably align closely to him. She sees him as her magic buddy.
She did torture someone.
She did torture someone.
Varen was mostly against that as well, though. I think Anya's more evil, because she's also Russian. Kislevite.
That is absolutely being cut.
You've already mentioned how she sees a sort of kindred spirit in Varen, but how does she view other members of the party? How would she view, say, Carl?
As an upstanding and nice and decent gentleman.
Sometimes she gets on with him very, very well. Other times she wants to grab his head and just smash it against a wall repeatedly. Mostly she views him as a skinny little man that she can boss around pretty well.
What about Hampunch?
Hammond she sees as a little bit of a creepy child. She carried him around a little bit like a child, but if he carries on eating the way that he is, she won't be able to do that anymore. Yeah, she won't be able to keep carrying him.
Hamhunch has barely had time to eat. Yeah,
Yet
it's
his
too much
model
happening.
just keeps getting fatter and fatter.
He's got bad genes.
He has an underactive forward.
Yeah, he's
I
one of
don't
those-
know. I think he's got pretty good genes if they can hold all their weight in.
And what about the most important part?
Ah, yes, the main character.
What about the main character? How does she view him?
She gets on pretty well with Sir Rahl because most of the party is pretty small and short or skinny. And he's a fellow big man. Anya is a very tall woman and a pretty strong one too. So she kind of sees him a little bit as like a bit of a gym bro, you know?
Okay. Alright. Well, if you both want to say goodbye, I think we've got all we need.
Goodbye.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
So here she is, Anya Dmitriev, the Ice Witch. And before anything else, I'm just gonna say these wide eyes right here, this weird psycho look she's got going here, this is not intentional. This is purely a current bug at the time of recording this in Heroforge, where the eyelids just won't move as they're supposed to. It only affects some models. I don't know the kinks of it yet, but basically just ignore the freaky wide-eyed look. Anyway, here she is, Anya. And Anya, unlike Brock, the last dwarf I did, with Anya I needed to follow some more strict instruction, because you see, Anya is actually based on artwork, and I'll show it to you here, and it is made by Zaf, the person who plays this character. So with this artwork, I needed to try and stay as close to the artwork as I could, while simultaneously making, you know, an interesting model and something that actually looked good in Heroforge. Now, I will be honest, I don't actually think this old model also suffers from the glitch. I don't actually think my new Anya, the Generation 4 Anya, follows the art as well as the old one does. So this is Generation 3 Anya, and I never made a video on this because honestly, it's you know, this model is a reroll, right? Because Zaf, her goblin, died, and she had to reroll to the Ice Witch, right? So this model was made sometime between Generation 3 and Generation 4, and I didn't really deem it worth making a video on, since I would be making new Generation 4 D&D models at some point anyway. But yes, like, aside from being a bit more faithful to the artwork, I also actually think that Generation 3 one had a very interesting pose. You know, this walking thing, it does look quite cool. However, there is a problem with this, which again, you gotta bear in mind that these models are made to look good in Roll20 top down. So tell me, like, does this look clean from above, or does it just kind of look like there's just a foot poking out there, because that's essentially what this ended up looking like in Roll20. The other issue is, of course, that Anya is, you know, Anya is a large woman, right? So it's a little difficult, actually. Like, unlike with Brock, he could be posed fairly flexibly. Anya, I needed to make use of the space, which generally the bigger your character is, the more rigid the pose needs to be. You'll see this later when we get to the paladin. So Anya was positioned something like this for her Roll20 token, right? Which, you know, it looks fine, but it's not quite as dynamic as the Brock pose. But yes, if you're ever wondering why the poses of some of these, specifically D&D models, are a little bit stiff, that is why, because again, they're made for Roll20. Anyway, let's actually pick this apart a little bit. So as per usual, let's drag these to the sides. And so immediately you will notice that the face gets kind of weird, and that's because Zaf herself actually kind of helped me out on this model. Well, so what Zaf really specializes in Heroforge is stacking faces, which, to be fair, I taught her initially, but she kind of took it to the next level, and that is like using different faces here, and you barely notice any clipping. It is so clean, but what you will notice is that there are some details, like there are higher cheekbones, there are like thicker lips, etc. and whatnot here, and the nose is a little bit less curved inwards than it usually would be, and that is by combining two different faces, which kind of brings out the best traits in the both. Like, you have the jawline of one face and the cheekbones of another face, etc. It's very, very clean all around. Again, just please try and ignore these cursed white eyes. I don't know why Heroforge is bugging like this. Maybe it's because Face Customize is just about to come out and they're prepping some weird stuff, but whatever it is, please fix it. Some other details here involve like the decal kit bashing here. This is not a general face decal you can actually use. This is decal kit bashing, and there's also a blush here, you know, a second breakfast-esque blush, except it's more subtle. It's like just a slightly reddish version of the skin color that's been placed in like a gradient circle on top of her nose here on both models, because again they do clip a little bit, these faces. You can kind of see it with the nostrils a bit there. And yeah, aside from that, all the usual stuff. I mean, there's a lot of layering going on here. You know how Heroforge always has that issue with like belts, and certain pieces will like bulge outwards if you have too high muscularity. So as you can tell, like there's one body here which has like curve sliders and muscularity pulled all the way up, and then one beneath which has the actual belt on it, and it means that one model effectively is very, very skinny, and the other model is very bulky, but the model that's skinny has all the big clothing on it, so that it like actually looks like it fits, like the harness here and the belt here. All of those things are on the skinny model. And of course, you know, fur shoulders combined with wolf shoulder, which is then colored like fur to make it look like it's an actual wolf, because I think Anya worships Ulrich, which is like a god of wolves in Warhammer. Cloaks, Icy Evo Spike Gauntlet, a bit of horn hair. It's a little bit messy, but that's kind of how she wanted it, because again, the character's not meant to look. I mean, it's basically a barbarian sorcerer. We don't actually have multiclassing, so it's not actually a barbarian sorcerer, but let's be honest, it would be if we were playing with multiclassing. But yeah, there you go. This is Anya Dmitriev, the Kislevite Ice Witch. Enjoy and goodbye.